2, 3, 4, and you are live.
Good afternoon, Atlanta. You're listening to the new WCEG Network. We are Veterans Today. You can like us on Facebook, follow us online, follow us on Twitter. And my name is Herman Anderson. We are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. We speak the truth. We speak life in the community. And the ways that you can communicate with us today or join the conversation is, like I said earlier, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and listen to us. We are live stream on YouTube and Facebook, WCEG Network, WCEGTalkRadio.com, and to call in and join the conversation via Zoom. The number to call is 646-876-9923. As I say, I'm one of the co-hosts, Herman Anderson. My other co-host that's here today is
Anthony Aiken. How you doing there, Herman?
I'm doing good. It's good.
It's a pleasure seeing you, man, during this pandemic where we're at the home, where still being able to work together and provide vital, key, important information to veterans, not only here in the ATL, but around the country. And I look forward to every time that we get together and we can share some truth, as you just indicated, with our veterans.
Well, that is true. And today, as always, we'll deal with the key items. One will be the claim process, navigating the claim benefit system, medical treatment, and all of the issues that come with trying to get through the VA with that. And we'll update with what information we have regarding COVID-19, and we'll talk about the census and voting.
Yeah, in addition, we're gonna have a call in, maybe a couple of them. There's one, Carl Lee, and Carl will be calling in today to talk a little bit about insurance and things of importance to veterans, making sure that they do the right things. As a matter of fact, when I was out walking this morning, I was just thinking about that subject of insurance, because we have so many veterans, for whatever reason, when they become very ill or incapacitated and eventually pass on, do not have, one, a will, number two, not adequate enough insurance, and they haven't, done pre-needs kinds of things. So Carl Lee will be able to come on today and talk a little bit about that, and hopefully inform veterans that they can get themselves prepared for, the future. We also may get a call in from another veteran who's had some health issues and eventually had some surgery done at the VA and at Emory, but having some difficulty with his treatment and medical plan. So when we have our special guest on, Pastor McGhee, who's a veteran service officer, he will be able to address some of those things and hopefully help this veteran in this particular situation.
Yes, Reverend McGhee should be joining us shortly. Like I say, he's a very good VSO, so hopefully he can provide some insight and some helpful tips to our veterans on these subjects.
Well, that's really important, because recently I was just down at Fort Benning, my old stomping grounds. I know you're Air Force, Herman, you don't know anything about that, but Fort Benning now with the old soldiers boots guys. And I was really surprised to find out the number of soldiers down at that military installation that have been exposed to COVID. And it's just not at Fort Benning, but it's at Fort Bragg and all the other places where we have, soldiers involved with some intense training. And as a result, they got this particular virus.
Yeah, I actually received some information yesterday regarding those areas, Fort Benning and Augusta, and we have Fort Stewart down in Savannah, and where we have quite large military presence, and you like you say it affects once it's just like what we talk about on this program. That once it affects the soldier, it affects the family and the community also.
Tell me about it. I mean, right now, our son has covirus. Our son's dealing with that right now, and I want every one of our listeners out there to uplift him and his family. He's at home. He's doing the best he can, but we have him in prayer, and we have everyone in prayer that's dealing with this pandemic. And I'm a little concerned here in Georgia about our governor, who's falling in line with our, what number is he? 42? No, 45. The president. I don't remember the number, but the concern about not wearing mask. I mean, the simple thing is just wearing a mask.
Well, it really is, and it shouldn't never have been and never have become politics. I mean, this is medical and science, and to me, it's just common sense rather than putting it in the political arena. It's about life and death. It's not about no political issues.
Well, I got to admit, I'm an old knucklehead guy, military guy, and sometimes I tend to forget to walk out or have my mask on. And I really appreciate my queen who, keeps me in line by saying, you know what, you need to make sure you have your mask on, because if you become ill, I become ill, and everybody else around you can become ill. So I'm just saying that this is something that we need to be conscious of. I know that I have to keep it aware. I keep a mask in the car. I try to keep one in my bag. I keep, gloves with me, because it's something that has to become part of our psyche, to the point that that's the first thing we need to be thinking about, of having some type of protection, not only for yourself, but your family members and others around you.
Well, that's true, and I do the same thing. And
so we're both knuckleheads.
Yeah, and if I'm on the way out the door, she'll ask me. so yeah, and I have a reminder also.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, but it's a beautiful thing, because we like life, and like I said, our son has it right now. I know he is very concerned, like we are too, because this illness is so unpredictable. The science is out there indicating that this virus could be around for a long period of time. And we're now seeing increased numbers here in the state of Georgia. So
that is true. And let me give you one example. I have a sister that works in Dublin at the hospital, Fairview, and she's got through it now. But their patient came in there about a month ago, and he came from his house. And his wife and family had the virus. He came for a different reason. And when they checked him in, he didn't tell them that he had been exposed to the virus. So after a few days, it came up. So some of the people on her floor, the nurses on her floor, became positive, and she quarantined for 14 days and came out okay. So we're all thankful for that.
Yeah, our mayor, I salute her for stepping out and making sure that the citizens of the city are aware that we need to still wear our mask. And I know that she and the Governor Kemp, were having their tiff in regards to that. But when you have the President of the United States flying into Atlanta 2 weeks ago, when she had the mask in place and in place, and he comes to the state and to the city and not wear masks, it's almost like a slap in her face. But I'm glad now that something is kind of sinking into his head, that you need to be wearing your mask. Him being the leader of this country needs to lead by example, because the numbers don't lie. We almost have 150,000 Americans that have died from this virus.
Well, that is true. And while we're waiting on our guests, me and you both have experience of dealing with the VA and selecting the VSO. So let's talk about this, that for a little while, is in order to help you navigate all of the red tape, the different situation that you are dealing with at the VA. I recommend that you contact a veteran service organization and get an VSO.
Herman, you can't be more plainer than that. You both of us, like you stated, have gone through the VA system to get our benefits and to get our compensations. It is not an easy process. It is not an easy process. So a veteran service organization such as the Purple Hearts, Veteran of Foreign Wars, Disabled Veterans, whatever, you need to utilize this third-party organization, which is not employed by the VA, to be your advocate. Because if you don't have an advocate in this maze that we're going through now, especially with a lot of the government agencies working, having their employees work from home, you really need to have someone that's going to be able to understand that network to push your paperwork through and to keep you informed.
Well, that's true. In addition, like you say, with the employees working from home and working pretty much totally virtually and electronically, you need someone that is really good on e-benefits.
Oh,
a lot in my veteran organization, I have 2 service officers, and they are both very proficient on e-benefits. So they are able to help veterans electronically by having veterans put their information into e-benefits and make sure it's in there correct and things like that. So that is very important.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But I can tell you, it took me and my queen almost 2 years going through the veterans process. Was it frustrating? Hell yes, it was. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm on radio. Heck yes. But it was extremely stressful. But if we didn't have a veteran service officer, Brian Poole, it could have been worse. But Brian was very due diligent. And every time that we were there to be seen, we hand carried a copy of the doctor's notes to Brian to ensure that it got into the system. But what did they say? You got to continue to call. You got to continue to be diligent. Oh, look like we got a guest that just popped in.
Yes, that is great.
How you doing there, young man?
I'm blessed. How you guys are doing, man? I'm just having this little technology joining the Zoom. So, but I'm here. By the grace of God.
Well, that's good. We also have another gentleman on, Mr. Carl Lee. So, but you know, we got to give you the first dibs, Pastor McGhee. And we were just talking a little bit about you and the importance of a veteran service officer. So, Herman, once you take the lead on that and get Pastor McGhee going.
Reverend McGhee, how are you doing this morning?
I'm blessed, Herman. I'm blessed. Thank you, brother. Okay,
we talked, me and Anthony talked just before we started, and we also have a guest on that's dealing with what you know very well about and what you're very good at navigate is the VA claim and medical benefit system. So now we started off by talking that by recommending that everyone get a VSO and work through that. So I know you're an expert and you do them all the time. So just give us a few minutes of what people should be doing. I understand our guest that we have on is having issues at this time. So tell us how we can help veterans navigate this system.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, since 2015, we have been in a new learning curve with e-benefits. This is the way VA does business with veterans now. Well, we still have the legacy system in place, but we still also have some backlog in the legacy system. So we are going toward backlogging in the e-benefit system as well, because of a lack of knowledge of the system. It's kind of is really not that complicated, but it can be complicated if you don't know what you're doing. So we advise people to at least get a conversation with a BSO. That's a Veteran Service Organization, and one of their national service officers who can educate them. But I'm gonna tell you something now. Look at e-benefits. E-benefits is a signal to all veterans that they are phasing out national service officers. If you look at e-benefits, the way it's set up now, when you register, they tell you not to share your registration password with anybody. Now that's kind of difficult to do if you don't know how to navigate the system. You got to share it with somebody. So what we began to do, twisting away from the national service officer and going to a VA claim clinic modality, where we're actually teaching veterans how to register and negotiate that system. Now it is connected to va.gov, My Healthy Vet, and all the other online modalities that VA has come up with to provide the services that they were designed to do to veterans. Got a problem with that. Technology has been a problem since the beginning, because before technology, before e-benefits, we were as veterans of color really not using VA benefits on the level that we should be, because these benefits was designed for the help the veteran, his family, and the community to a better quality of life. Unfortunately, because we don't use these benefits, we are not getting that quality of life that we deserve. You can see this with veterans under bridges in every major city in this country. So we got to be able to understand this e-benefit system. So what I've been doing is soliciting church ministries. You know, church ministries are one of the best positioned entities in our community to help veterans with their benefits right now, because the system in the past and somewhat in the present now is discouraging. I was listening to Colonel Aiken about his frustration with the system. You know, it's so frustrating. I've had veterans just give up in the process and say, "Man, I can't. I don't want to do this no more. It's too much." It causes an aggravation of the conditions that you are trying to get help with. So we have to come to the community with an understanding of that. And I think the best position people in the community right now to help us get over this learning curve and to a predicament where we can actually influence the development of VA online modalities. And now, what am I saying? I'm saying that we need a system in place in America today. When a veteran goes to the VA and put 2 hours in at VA, he or she should be able to leave the VA knowing exactly what VA benefits they have been awarded. Now, how we're going to do that is it's going to be legislative command. You know, every time we get a new secretary, we get new policies. Recently, we looked at on July 9th, Congress had a group of veterans together, some Vietnam veteran chapters, and I promised them that now they were going to put hypertension on their Agent Orange presumptive list. Now DAB has come out and said they're not going to do that. We don't know, because we don't know what Congress is doing with this pandemic. We're not getting any real feedback from our elected representatives anymore. I was online with Ann Bryan yesterday, who is the director of the VA Medical Center here in Atlanta. She was talking to BSO. You know, we are on the advisory board, and it was just instructional. It was no real dialogue between us and the director. They're just giving us instructions about how they're going to do this and how they're going to do that. And I'm telling you, not doing a very good job, because a lot of what they call non-essential services, the veterans have been suspended while the pandemic is on, because the VA has become a frontline supporter of the pandemic, when we don't have any problem with that. But what about the veterans who are waiting for care?
Yeah.
So we got to get this e-benefit system up in a way that we can communicate with Healthy Vet, because see, Healthy Vet now is your doctor's appointment. If you don't get your stuff in the medical records right, then you're not going to get the rating, or you might not get the disability, because I'm looking at a lot of claims being filed by BSOs without having a diagnosis or service nucleus evidence. Knowing that if you don't have these elements of the claim in place when you file the claim, you're going to be denied.
Well, Pastor McGhee, that's
Okay, that is great. And we'll keep doing this. And as you know, me and your organization are working offline, and we want to, as you say, include ministry, encourage all churches to start ministries. Let's hear from my other guest, Mr. Carl.
Yeah. Just let me give a little purview there, Herman and Pastor McGhee. We've asked Carl Lee to come on, because this is really kind of tying into not only the VA, but also with veterans who are ill or may pass on as a result of this COVID, and the need to make sure that they have certain things in place, and that's insurance, wills, those kinds of things. So we've invited Carl to come on and to give us some guidance that we can relate to veterans of importance for them, to ensure that they do the right thing. So Carl, why don't you just let us know a little bit of what you're doing and the support that you can provide to veterans, especially in the area of insurance.
Sure. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for just having me on this call today. I think it's a great opportunity and a great tool to be able to reach the community. Again, my name is Carl Lee. I'm a graduate of Tuskegee Institute. I know we call
say that again.
Tuskegee Institute. That's right. A lot of people know that today, of course, it's Tuskegee University, but when I was there, it was still Institute. I left Tuskegee with a degree in accounting and finance, and I've worked in accounting and finance for practically the last almost 40 years. One of the things that I wanted to do that was so dear to me was to be able to go back and do some things in terms of helping my own community. So to Brother Aiken's point there as well, I've recently changed careers from corporate America to that of financial services. And again, with hopes of being able to reach, help, and educate my own community with regards to financial services. As you were mentioning there before, insurance is one of the top things that I do, life insurance. And if it's something that I like to be able to talk about, is just that, the number of different ways that we can actually leave a legacy to our families through insurance. A lot of people just really look at and think of insurance a lot of times as, a kind of sort of a necessary evil, and being that it's something that they're actually going to leave for somebody else to actually, quote, get rich on. My parents actually came up with not wanting to talk about or think about life insurance. However, we're looking at it in terms of today, it's a necessary thing that we need to do to make sure that the generations behind us are left in a better position than some of us were in while we were here today. So if there's one thing right off the top of the head, I like to say, if you don't have life insurance, especially with COVID-19 going on right now, I would suggest that you reach out to either myself or someone else, an agent, that can sit down and talk about some comprehensive things that you can have for life insurance, whether that just be final expense insurance or something more wholesome like a long-term plan for investment purposes. there's never too little that you can buy. And of course, some people would like to think that there's, of course, too much that you can buy. But I urge you to take a look at what you have right now currently as a policy. And if you don't understand that, give me a call and I'd be more than happy to review your existing policy with you at no cost whatsoever.
Give us your contact information, please.
Sure. My phone number is 770. It's 882-9317. Again, that's 770-882-9317. And I'm Carl Lee, and I represent a company that's called Rosenthal Financial Services. And we're in a number of different areas of financial services. But again, the major one there is life insurance.
Well, you know, right now we have a veteran just trying to connect with us, and this all ties in with you, insurance, and Pastor McGhee with a veteran service officer. And that's a former Army officer by the name of William Bill Reese.
Okay.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Bill? Look like he's still trying to connect to audio, but Pastor McGhee, just to give you a little heads up, here's a veteran that's having some issues with the VA and had surgery. And we're trying to make sure that he gets the right information because he reached out to Herman and I for some guidance. Awesome. So let's see if we can get him in. Bill, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tony.
Okay, very, very good. Why don't you tell the audience who you are, and then we can get Pastor McGhee to address your particular question.
Well, I received spinal surgery at Emory on the 25th of June.
Wow.
Through the community care program. And I was referred to a community physical therapy nursing home. And it was at that nursing home that I had a lot of problems. I was only there for 24 hours because I didn't like the way they were treating us there. I didn't like the way they treated me. And so I discharged myself from that nursing home and came home. I didn't see the physician who was there, which they really wanted me to do, but because of the problems I was having there, I just knew there were going to be more problems. So I didn't want to stay there any longer than I wanted to, even though they wanted me to hang around.
So, were you able to go to the VA at all?
Yes, I was trying to get into another nursing home, and so I tried to contact the VA to do that. That was very difficult to do. I eventually had to go through the IG department once I figured out how to do that. And they were able to contact my primary care physician at the VA, and she started things to rolling a little bit. She got the orthopedic office, the section in VA involved, and they were not happy to get involved. They paraphrasing. The person that was contacted said that it was thrown on him. That's the way it was put, paraphrasing. He wasn't happy to get involved. And he sent a message that same day, fortunately, to Dr. Yoon to help me get into another nursing home for rehabilitation.
Well, Pastor McGhee, being a veteran service officer and Bill being a veteran, can you give him some advice in regards from your perspective, what a veteran service organization can do to aid him or assist him?
Well, now what he's going through is what he should have done before he discharged himself with medical. AMA is not a good way to use services. That's good services. That's why the individual was being so insensitive when he call and try to get some changes made. Now, at this point, they got to go through a rigmarole of a system that was based in Jim Crowism to get him back into a predicament where they can actually put him back into another rehab center. See, when you go AMA, what you're saying to VA is that I don't want your services, and that is pretty conclusive in most VA facilities. You have that right to leave, but once you leave, then you actually just said you didn't want the services that they were providing. Now, what you start doing after that was what you should have did before you left. Call your primary and tell them about the mistreatment or the feelings that you have toward a particular contract provider. And 9 out of 10 times, they, if it's convincing enough, if the other space is available, then they will transfer you. But once you go AMA, then you got to go all the way back through the system, and they're going to determine, they might even give him another physical to determine whether he actually needs the rehab at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a system that he has to negotiate now from the standpoint that he's already rejected services. So he got to overcome that. And the way he is doing it now, going through his primary is the way to do that. Now, getting a decision out of them, they're gonna have to go through this process of seeing whether they're gonna actually put him back in. And they have the authority to do it based on the medical records. They do have the authority to override that, especially if he's a veteran with a mental diagnosis of like depression, PTSD, adjustment disorder of some nature, which is something that can help you override AMA at sometimes. Sometimes it won't. I had about 4 or 5 AMAs, so I can understand it, Brother Levy. I'm not critical of that because some of the services that we offer are really condescending. So, but we still have to go through the process of contesting that services before we go AMA, because once you go AMA, you are actually taking yourself out of the system. So get back in the system is the way he's doing it now, going through his primary care provider who can help. Right now, a VSO under the current system can do no more than advocate for you. That's the only thing that they can do, advocate, talk to the VA, sort of like an advocate, trying to get them to understand, the nature of your conditions, compare you to leave the VA, so that it was not something that you did with a competent mind. So you're doing what you need to do right now, going through your primary care provider, and they will push it back through the system. Now, that don't mean that he's going to get back into a rehab center. It's really up to VA now to look at what they got to do for him. But now, if he knows absolutely that he still needs this, well, yeah, push it through, and you can get an emergency push through by calling the director. Now, we had a talk with, I said we was on a conference with her yesterday. She's very instructive. She's not all that sensitive toward the pre-existing conditions that we were dealing with before the pandemic set in. We are in a predicament where I would suggest that you call your congressman. Get the congressman involved with this, because you left the VA treatment because of ill treatment. If you're getting ill treatment, you're not getting medical treatment. So you do have a case, but you got to go through the rigmarole of having left AMA against medical advice. So that's the thing you're overcoming right now, and that's where you'll get a real negative attitude from some of the employees when they see that you left AMA.
What is AMA?
Against medical advice. Anytime you leave a treatment that VA has provided with out completely. You're leading against medical advice.
Yes, I understand.
So you're doing,
You know,
you're doing
I
what you need
understand.
to do.
I understand everything that you're saying. And, you know, for people, had I stayed there, there would have been more abuse. I just,
Yeah,
they,
I mean, you did what you, but I'm not criticizing what you did. I'm just trying to tell you what your options are at this point. You're doing what you need to do to get back in the system. But the reality of it, and the way they are looking at this, looking at your case right now, is that you left AMA, and you know you need to go through the process, explain to them why you left. You know, and if you do have a mental diagnosis, that's really critical to where you're at right now to get back into treatment.
Well, I think that's a good point. Is you just kind of put that behind you and moving forward.
Yeah.
The advice that he's given, take that approach and build your case based on that.
Yeah, because see, listen, I tell you, I left a VA 4 times. I think it might have been 5 AMA, and I left the VA Medical Center AMA. You know, not a contract provider, because of the way they was mistreating me. You know, so I overcame it. You know, I'm back in the system. I've been back in the system for years. I'm 100% totally permanent. So I understand, you know, the need sometimes for us to just say, I ain't gonna take it no more. You know, but you know, the right way to do it is tell them to get your primary there. You know, get somebody there that you can talk to about the treatment that you're not gonna take, and make them move you. But you know, that's spilled milk. Like Herman just said, let's move forward with it now. You know, just move forward so you can get the care that you need.
I understand and I appreciate what you're saying. And I've contacted my primary care physician, and she's working on in-home rehabilitation for me if I can't get anything else. She's trying to get me into a facility right now. I told her I'll take whatever I can get. I'm trying to recover as quickly as I can, and I'm doing what I've been told to do when I was at the hospital in Emory. They want me to walk. I do a lot of that. And but there's got to be something else I can do too. And I thought maybe I could get that help from physical therapy.
Now, I just finished my last physical therapy yesterday. Bro, man, take the physical therapy. Let them come to you. I mean, if you can get them to come to you, it's better. You won't have to go through all that facility nonsense that you have to go through when you're going to these rehab places. If you can afford to let them come to you, by all means, let them come to you. They've been coming to my house for the last 3 weeks, you know, because I have walking issues. And they did what they needed to do. I mean, some days they got here, I didn't want to deal with them, you know. But, you know, we have to get the treatment that we need. And I'm just saying, especially people in my generation, I'm 73 years old. So my tolerance is really short with people at VA, having been an employee there, and I know they can treat people better. But, you know, sometimes we have to take these issues. That's why I didn't want no facility rehab. I wanted to let them come to my house. They just came to my house. So I had my last.
Okay, that's the direction I'm leaning in, bro. And
it's much better, bro. I'm gonna tell you, you'll feel better by it. You know, they'll treat you better when they come into your home. I had two different therapists come to my house, and you know, one of them I had to straighten out. You know, because she was coming in a little autocratic. I'm 73 years old. I don't want to be ordered around too fast. So I had to kind of straighten her out. But, you know, at the end of the day, I got the therapy that I need, and I'm doing better. Now, I do have the option to start it back, too. So, you know, take the home care, bro. Please take the home care.
Thank you very much. And listen, I want to make the point that after the smoke and dust is clear, the only one who was standing there for me was the VA. They're the only one who are trying to help me, even though things are moving at glacial speed. they're the only ones who are standing there right now for me.
Yeah. Well, that's their role. You stood there for us as a nation, but you gave your service. They're supposed that's what the agency was designed to do, and I'm glad to hear that's happening with you. We want to make sure that happens with everybody, because that agency was designed to do especially that.
Well, they're standing up, bro, and I just wanted to make that point. After all the smoke is cleared, there they are. They're standing there, even though things are moving extremely slow. They're there.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they're gonna be there if it's only with smoke and mirrors. So we just got to make sure we get the services that we need and deserve.
I hear you and I understand you.
Reverend McGhee. Reverend McGhee. Time is moving right along. I know you got another hot button that the Sons of Atlanta project. You want to update us on that in a few?
Herman, before we go to that, let's bring back in Carl, because our time is short. But I definitely wanted to make sure that he talked to these veterans, especially with this pandemic and bill situation, about final expenses for veterans and even mortgage insurance, because you never know, tomorrow could be gone and they have things in place. So before he gets into that project, Carl, can you bring us up to that point in regards to information for veterans?
Yes, I wanted to talk about just that. And a lot of times, with veterans, I'm not sure how many of you have actually gotten involved with, actually having to bury a loved one that is a veteran. But one of the misnomers that I can just kind of talk about right now is about what's paid for veterans burial. The VA, from what I understand now, pays up to about $796 for the cost of a burial. And I just want to talk about that because the average funeral is about $4,500 out there. So just so, we know what we're working with out here. So a lot of people that I've talked to in the past, they just said, hey, listen, I'm not concerned because my burial is going to be taken care of by the government. So remember that number, $796. That's about the max. So they're
But man, please,
yes, sir.
Let me interject this now. If you're at the 100% level and you want to be buried in a national cemetery, your family don't have any cost for that burial.
But you're saying if it's a national cemetery, though, sir, correct? Does it say the same for other cemeteries?
Yeah, a national cemetery or state cemetery. We got state cemeteries here in Georgia, and you can be veteran cemeteries, state and national. If they're buried in a state or national cemetery, the cost is nil.
When it's the state or national.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, let's be clear about that. That's for the burial. I mean, but you still get, if you're gonna have funeral services and those other things, you still got to deal with those. So
correct.
We really, let's be sure we're talking about the two different things really. The burial cost plus if the services that you're gonna have, wake, whatever, that's other expenses.
Yeah. Now what happens there, Herman, is that there is a offset for certain things. Like I just did my whole package. I did a pre-package with Clark and Grissom Funeral Home. And what my family would normally pay, except for that insurance policy, they don't have to pay anything. They would have about $1,000, a little over $1,000 to pay for the services. Because I want to be, I want to go through the full array of services and going to Canton. There is about $1,000, a little over $1,000 that's going to come out of my insurance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Carl, what about mortgage insurance in regard protection plan for veterans and their families?
The same thing. It can also be used for mortgage insurance as well. The case, of course, where someone has a mortgage, of course, that's outstanding. You can actually have life insurance actually set up such that once you actually pass away, that policy actually kicks in and is covering that mortgage. That's, you know, a pretty good thing to happen, especially if someone has a spouse that doesn't work. And you want to make sure that when you leave here, then that your loved one still has the same quality of life and doesn't have to necessarily move out of the home that they've been living in for years. So with mortgage protection, it works in that regard. Again, one of the things I wanted to bring up as well, and I was talking to Brother Aiken about that, is I work with a brokerage company. So a lot of insurance companies, for instance, and I don't really call it a whole lot of names right here now, but a lot of them are captive, meaning that if you go to them, if you don't qualify for a particular plan with their company, they will just turn you down and you would just be turned down completely and you would have no coverage. But by going through a brokerage, you can actually, we deal with a number of different insurance companies. Give you an example, some companies do not cover individuals that are diabetic. Some will not cover certain medical issues, whether that be a heart condition and so on and so on. I just so happen to be working with a company now, again, that's a brokerage that allows you to go in through a number of different scenarios.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, I would like to ask Brother Cook, because I'm very interested in, I got a client for you right now. I just had one of my people buy a house.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that I was talking with him about is insurance.
Yes, sir.
And I think that he needs the mortgage insurance. Now I know he got a other package, but he actually wants more insurance.
Yes, sir.
Than he have, and I would like to, you know, after you get through, get offline, you can call me and I'll give you his information.
I would love to talk to you about this, sir.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Okay, Herman, we can go on back to Pastor McGhee in regards to that great project that he has going on.
Awesome. Go ahead, Reverend McGhee.
Man, I'm so excited about the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam Memorial Project. Task force. We have reorganized the task force with what I call the crew to get it done. We got a timeline. We're actually going to be finishing with this project by or before Veterans Day 2021. Mm-hmm. Now we actually had a meeting with the new task force yesterday, and we are moving towards doing some very interesting stuff. One of the things that we didn't talk about in depth, but we did discuss. I had a meeting with a young man, a businessman that's a veteran that want to support the project. And he raised the issue of us putting the names of those individuals in Fulton County that served during that period. Now, Herman and I have been involved with the Georgia State Department of Veteran Services and the governor. I don't want to say the governor, but you know, I got to say what he is. And the governor passing out certificates of honor throughout the state of Georgia. And I'm thinking that it's really something that we hadn't thought about when we started doing the memorial. But we are going to have a vote on that, Herman, at chapter level if we do it. And I think we're going to get that amendment passed to the project, which will give a listing of about 5,000 individuals that were served in Fulton County alone. Now, we're hoping that would be an incentive for other counties. You know, I know some of the counties have already finished their memorials and they got them up and going and they finished with the memorial. But we're telling the story about the individuals on our memorial. And what we're saying is that we were the first generation. Now, this is something that is not highlighted, but if you look at history, it's there. We were the first generation. Vietnam era veteran was the first generation that served in a fully integrated U.S. military. In 1948, President Truman issued a desegregation order to desegregate the U.S. military. He did that because of the losses that the country had incurred during World War II. So he was looking for ways to rebuild the military, and he looked at the colored units and he started deactivating the colored units. He had so much racial pushback on it until they didn't get it done until 1954, the year that they first sent advisors into Vietnam. So we were the first generation of young white men, black men, Hispanics, Native Americans that all lived together in the same barracks. We trained together on the same training modality, and we got the same pay based on our pay grades. The first generation of patrons that integrated the U.S. military and America. So we got a story. We got the land in Piedmont Park. The city and county is behind us. Now we're going at all of the cities that have sons that's going to be on this wall to make sure that we make it a public project. So we'll be going out doing a lot of town hall meetings and community rallies to make sure that we finish this memorial by November 11th, 2021.
Okay.
So, and Herman is on our task force. So we want to thank him for taking on that role. And this is the crew that's gonna make it happen. We're gonna finish it up.
Oh, all righty. Thank you. And we want to make sure all our listeners are aware of this, and we encourage participation.
Now, one other thing, Herman, I'd like to state before we go. Now, I mentioned Isaac Clark. Isaac Clark is another Vietnam veteran. He owns Clark and Grissom Funeral Home.
Yes.
I don't know whether you guys are familiar with that, but Clark and Grissom are indicated. So what he told me, he got some, this pandemic is really ravishing veterans, whether we know it or not, especially those in nursing homes. He was telling me that he got a body from Piedmont, and they had COVID-19 on the death certificate. Mm-hmm. Now, he called me because I worked this case. He asked me, will they give the surviving spousal benefits for COVID-19 deaths? I don't think so. So what we got to be able to do, if you know of anybody that's dying of COVID-19, we got to make sure that the underlying conditions are on that death certificate, or the surviving spouse might not get a benefit.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome, man. That's ugly, but we have to be watchmen.
Wow.
That's awesome news. I did not know that. That is.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That is good information.
I didn't know that one either.
Yeah.
And, we all know him, Brother Isaac. As a matter of fact, he's a good Omega man. So we support him, and I'm glad Carl Lee knows him, Herman knows him. So I'm very glad that you brought that out for our listeners, because that was key information just then.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. If you know Isaac, I'm gonna encourage you to get him on your show, because he do excellent pre-packaging.
Nice.
But now he did my pre stuff. Just excellent information. Him being a funeral director, he knows the ins and outs of these death certificates. So I mean, I think it would be a good. He would make a good guest on your show, talk with him and get that information out, just like this brother bringing the insurance piece to us. We need to know these kind of things, because if we're not going to protect veterans' benefits, who are?
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. But we can get him. We'll definitely get him on. We'll definitely get him on the show.
Yeah. I got one.
Tell him I throwed him up under the bus too.
I got one question.
He pushed you up under this, man, so you got to come. But he'll come. He's a beautiful brother.
He'll definitely do it. Herman?
I got one question for Carl.
Sure.
A lot of us are Vietnam veterans, so I'm Reverend McGhee just told you how I'm 75. So is there an age limit to that will have effects on whether you can purchase insurance or not?
Yes, sir. Up to age 85.
No. Okay.
Well, we need to hurry up, man. we moving toward there pretty fast, bro. We need to hurry do something.
Right now, Herman's in first place.
Good question.
Well, we gotta wrap this up. Time is running out. So we'll start with you, Carl. What are your final words?
My final words is, again, just make sure you go out there and have someone look at your plan, have a plan, and make sure somebody looks at your plan. It doesn't have to be me, but make sure that you're aware, and make sure that somebody you know in your family is also aware of where all of your information is. It's, again, one of those kind of things that we don't always want to talk about, but when you're not here to speak for yourself, somebody needs to be able to speak for you.
Thank you. Reverend McGhee.
Well, I thank you guys, man. And I love you, man, for what you're doing. And I just want to keep on encouraging you that you and the colonel to keep on doing what you're doing, man, because it makes it a big difference when people can get the right information. It does. You know, it relieves stress. I always say this about people, and I get all kinds of calls from funeral homes and everywhere. We shouldn't leave our families in chaos when they're mourning. So thank this brother for bringing the information about insurance to us, so we can help cover those that don't know. We got to get the information to them. So I thank you guys for what you're doing.
Hey, Carl, can you give us your contact information again for our listeners?
Sure, 770-882-9317. If you want to email me direct, it's CQLEE, the number 10,000 at AOL.com.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Herman,
You guys.
great show.
Well, we thank our guys for participating. We always are here to empower the community and speak the truth. So we've had a great show this Friday, and we wish everybody a safe weekend and stay safe, and hope we will survive this COVID-19 virus.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
With that, we're gonna bring the show to a close, and thank everybody for participating.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.